Hey guys, my name's Mark Ling, and I've got with me a really interesting guest. Actually, this guy, he's been doing online marketing for about a decade now, and not to scare you off, but not everybody manages to get it easy right from day one when they do online marketing. He tried a number of different methods, people's courses, stuff like that. Just things just didn't seem to quite click immediately. He was having the odd success here and there. He knew what he was doing to some extent, but things didn't all just go to plan. So he ended up getting a job with a couple of guys that I work with, Rob and Gary, doing customer support for them and stuff like that. And he was doing really good there, but it keeps seeing all of these students come in making all of this money. And he was thinking, well, I need to have a go at this stuff. And he had a go. He started with Facebook ads, stuff like that, and had some moderate success, but things didn't really kick into gear until this year, where in the space of 5 weeks, actually, he started trying a new method, which was devised by a guy called Keegan, who is also one of Rob and Gary's former students, but has come up with his own methods for marketing with a different platform, with YouTube and other things to do with AI bots and other things. We'll get into that in a moment. But what's happened is he's gone ahead and he's generated $67,000 in his first 5 weeks trying this method. That's profit, by the way. It's over 100,000 in revenue. His biggest day has been $10,500. So Ryan, he's by the way, his name's Ryan. He's 41 years old. He lives in San Diego with his Labrador dog, and I guess you would have over time gone in and out of lockdown last year and stuff like that, and now you're finding yourself in a really good situation. So Ryan, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what's going on with you?
Yeah, hi Mark. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a crazy year and a half for everybody, but oddly enough, there's been, I think, some opportunities and just some innovations that have happened during that time. And when I heard about what Keegan had kind of put together, it was really interesting to me. And I didn't know anybody else that was doing affiliate marketing and doing a similar strategy on a new platform like he was. And it was really interesting to me because I've done some stuff in the past with varying degrees of success, but hadn't quite broken through to those levels that I've seen people do in this type of business. And so I wanted to get in there and give it a try. I sought out some other help and some other training prior to that, and I learned some stuff, but it still wasn't quite clicking. I wasn't quite breaking through to profit. And within a matter of weeks of getting connected with Keegan and his methods, I had my first $1,000 day, and then by the end of that weekend, I had my first $1,000 day. And within the first month, I had 6, 7, 8, and even my first $10,000 days. And yeah, as you said, the first 30 days from breakthrough to the next remaining 30 days from then, it was about 123,000 of total revenue, and $67,000 of that was profit. So more than 100% ROI, and I was absolutely thrilled. I've never made that kind of money in online marketing ever with any of the other things I've ever done.
I think that's absolutely stunning. But also, what I like about your story too is it's one of persistence, because a lot of people, it's either they do really well straight away, or they're a little bit persistent and they do really well a few months in. You don't get too many people that are like you, where they actually started 10 years ago. I mean, most people have either done really well since then, or they have given up, because 10 years is a long time I know it's not necessarily all full time, that's all you've done, but it's a long time not to have got to that $1,000 a day plus mark, and yet you're somebody it's proof that if you actually never stop having a go at this stuff, you will sooner or later get there. And in your case, I know there are a lot of success stories where you have this guy that they started 6 weeks ago and now they're doing really well. But for every story like that, you don't hear your story. You know, people often don't share this sort of story because it's not sexy to have started 10 years ago, right? But the fact is, it doesn't matter, does it?
No,
Now
it
that you're
really
here.
doesn't matter. Like I said, there was some different degrees of success with some of the other things from the
Mm,
past. So it's not that there was no success, but I had never run online ads before. I had never advertised on this platform before, and so there was a lot of it that was new to me. And I feel like the almost bigger handicap that I think I personally have is I don't really consider myself to be all that creative. So coming up with this magical ad or whatever out of my own mind, I'm just not very good at that in my experience. And so that's, I think, one of the things that really this his kind of coaching and his process solved for me was just seeing a formula and seeing some examples so that I didn't really have to be the creative guy. I could
mm.
take the feedback that was there. I could take the methodology that was there and I could tweak it and I could apply it in my own way, but I didn't have to come up with the concept from scratch, which has always been kind of a struggle for me. I'm really good at emulating and I'm really good at modeling and even tweaking and improving things, but not necessarily, I'm not really the idea guy that comes up with the concepts in the first place. But yeah, by no means would anybody have to spend the same amount of time going through a process. It's really just a matter of finding something and being dedicated to it and focused on it, and basically getting the opportunity to learn from something that someone else has already solved and already put together and packaged up for you.
Right. So I mean, I think that it's important for people to know too, not to be too scared off by how long you've been plugging away. It's not like you haven't had um, big periods where you've made like a full-time income online. It's just that it wasn't necessarily like it is now, like over $1,000 a day and that kind of thing. And this model, by the sounds of it, it's the fastest model that you've had, where from starting and learning about the model through to having such, obviously higher level of success than you've ever had. There must be something really good about that makes that possible.
Absolutely. So what's always been appealing to me about internet marketing is the unlimited income potential, but a lot of other business models, they require your time, and this requires time too, but it doesn't take any more of your time to run a campaign that earns you $100 a day versus $1,000 a day or $10,000 a day. It's the same amount of time involved in that versus if you're working with clients or you're doing other things that require manual time to do that, you're only going to be able to scale to so high before you just simply run out of hours in the day. And so I think for me, that's where the difference is with this. Is it doesn't really matter. Again, it's not directly tied to a one-to-one return or a ratio of time versus income. It's really more getting to the point of finding winning campaigns and then scaling those up. And it's
And
almost
spending more.
it's almost the opposite. The more your campaigns are making, it feels like the less time it seems to take you on a daily basis.
Yeah, because if you're able to make $100 a day in profit, then if the audience is large enough, by the sounds of it, it is the way this is being taught. If you're able to spend 100 and make 200, then why can't you spend 1,000 and make 2,000? And why can't you spend? I know it peters out at some point, but obviously for a lot of people, it's you can spend 5,000 and still make 9,000, and spend 10,000 and still make maybe 14 or 15 or 16,000. And at some point you go, that's about right. I need to find another offer to promote because the level of, relative to what I'm spending is diminishing. But it's takes a long time to get there, doesn't it? It's not like you just suddenly you get to 500 a day and you're making another 500 and then you can't scale further because there's no more money to be made. It goes quite a long way. It's a big world.
Exactly. So scaling can come not only in the form of just increasing your budget, but running other offers, running other niches. So yeah, I think, conceivably it's almost an unlimited scaling potential with this, just because there's so much traffic and there are so many products and so many offers out there. So to see what
Yeah.
other people are making that are even making the numbers that I was doing look small. it just goes to show there really is just gigantic potential there.
Now, what about ad accounts? I know with Facebook, it can be a really great model, but because of their algorithm, people at times lose ad accounts. Not always, but it can happen, and it's a real frustration when they're going by the rules and they still lose one. I mean, have you ever had those? What are your frustrations with say running YouTube ads in terms of ad accounts and in comparison to say Facebook?
Yeah, so it's definitely a breath of fresh air. I'll say that. So I know that I personally haven't had any sort of shutdown issues at all. I know other people who have minimally. So, and most of the time it was some like they didn't follow the process in some way, or it was some little easy mistake. But what I have seen is in the Facebook world, if you get an ad disapproved, like that, you could be toast at that point, and your account could get shut down, and you're dead to them.
So
Essentially,
you've got to set up another account, and it's a real pain in the neck. Yeah.
It's completely different here. If you get an ad disapproved, it's simply just a disapproved ad. It doesn't affect your account status and that kind of stuff. So they just seem like a far more advertiser friendly type of platform to deal with, and a lot more forgiving. You can actually get a real human being on the phone, which is amazing. So personally for me, I haven't encountered any of those roadblocks. And honestly, this is going to sound silly, but probably the biggest problem I've had with my campaigns is some days it won't spend enough of my money. But other than that, honestly, I really have encountered no problems whatsoever. So I won't say it's a completely effortless, problem-free process, because I think there are little things that you can encounter. But for me, I haven't encountered those things yet.
That's no, I think that's fantastic. And there are reasons why it won't spend enough of your money. Don't worry, people. Like, it's not saturation. What it is things like maybe Google thinks that it can't reach your target. Like, you might set it as $40 per sale for something that you're earning commissions of, say, $100 a sale, and you want to get them for $40, and Google says, hey, I can't deliver the traffic and achieve that. Or it might be that today a whole bunch of e-commerce advertisers are advertising some specials like Black Friday or something, and your ads, you probably do have to push your CPA up higher than it usually is. It might usually be at 60 and you're happy with that, but you have to push it up a little bit. Or it could be your click-through rates aren't quite high enough on your ads, and you need to work on that. There's often a little reason, right, Ryan?
Yeah, in my case, it's actually the fact that I'm targeting little tiny micro audiences. So there's just a limited number of those
people. So you're doing a little, yeah.
They're very profitable, but they're small audiences. So I'm okay. It's interesting because the way the platform works, I would rather have it conserve my budget and not waste my money, because that seems like the way that it works. And there's days where it won't. I'll have thousands of dollars scheduled to spend, and it'll spend most of it, but not all of it. But it's actually for the benefit of the advertisers. So having it just blow through your budget isn't necessarily in your best interest. And it appears that the platform truly is trying to give you the type of traffic you're looking for. And if for some reason, maybe it's a slower day of the week or something like that, it will try to conserve your budget if it doesn't think it can meet your goal. But then the next day it'll, probably spend normally. So for me, it's just I'm targeting these little micro audiences. And there's just only so many people that fall into those categories, but there's huge audiences out there.
No, but it is interesting, because I last year when I ran YouTube ads promoting a dating and relationships offer, I spent 70,000 and made 110,000 back, and I was all through. And I know it's not as big a profit ratio as you're making. I hadn't gone through Keegan's method at that point, but I had my own strategies at that point, which aren't too dissimilar. And it was micro audiences that I was using, just like you. But then also on the other side of it, you see guys like Keegan most of the time using not a micro audience, using a gigantic audience. Sometimes he'll just advertise to every man and woman who's aged over 45 in the entire US and Canada without any form of targeting, and still succeed, because the algorithm is so smart. It starts to see relatively quickly who is watching your videos past 30 seconds, who is buying, and stuff like that. I mean, are you finding that over time things seem to get better and better?
Yeah, I do. So the last 2 weeks of those campaigns, I was seeing about 200% ROI. So
Wow.
again, you can imagine I would prefer to have that platform spend as much money as it possibly could, earning me $2 for every $1 I'm putting in, or actually I should say earning me $3 for every $1 I'm
Yeah.
putting in under those circumstances. So there was in my case, again, it was little micro audiences, but I love seeing that there's more than one approach that works really well.
Mm.
And the algorithm does seem to dial in and does seem to learn and get smarter. And if you continue to run campaigns in the same niches, you can benefit from the past data that you've already gathered as well, too, in terms of being able to get a new campaign going really quickly.
Fantastic. Now, this model, it involves spending money to make money. It's like any business, though. You do have to get traffic somehow, and it is a spend money to make money model. So, with that in mind, do you ever run into cash flow issues? I guess probably not now that you've got the cash, it's going through. But what would you say to someone else that perhaps might run into a cash flow issue? Like, what if somebody they're doing really well, they dial it up, they start spending 400 a day and making 800 back, and then all of a sudden a week and a half in, and that they have to turn everything off because they've run out? Or are you getting faster payments back when you do earn your commissions that you can just start reinvesting those that quickly?
I mean, in my eyes, that's almost like the best type of problems to have. So if the system's working for me and my biggest problem is I need more money to put into the system that's working for me, that's a problem I think I can get really creative and figure out how to solve. So in our case, yeah, we do have faster payments arranged with various networks and whatnot. And so, if someone's used to having to wait 2 or 3 weeks to get paid, they're not going to have to following this process. So at the very least, in the very beginning, you get paid every single week. Right now, I get paid 3 times a week. So I'm getting paid Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
So
It's
reinvesting is not an issue then?
no, reinvesting is not an issue at all. I'm never waiting longer than 5 days to recoup all of what I've spent on ads. And so no, I honestly don't see that very quickly. That problem within the first 2 weeks, I was at the point where I had more money than I could spend.
Now, it's an exciting time because people can, you can press a button and generate your template web page, follow the instructions, change the headline, change the image here, change the text underneath, use your affiliate link. Setting up a web page for most people is less than an hour, some 2 hours, I guess, maximum. Very, very straightforward. That's pretty exciting. What about the videos themselves? Like, how long does it take you to put a video ad together? And do you use your own voice, or are you using one of those robot voices that we've got?
I've tried both. The AI voices work better than my voice. So yeah, and the first time I was learning the video process, I didn't have a walkthrough like what we have now. So it took me maybe 4 hours. But if I had a walkthrough like what we had now, I probably could have made the same video in an hour or less. Now I could make a video within a few minutes. They're not that hard. Even 30 minutes to me would seem like a long time to make a video now from start to finish, just because.
Because the software, if you insert the script, just so people can realize, if you insert the script into the software automatically pulls in stock footage to go with the text. And then you put in the voice, you drag and drop the voice into the right spots. So the voice is saying it out loud. The software has already put video in there and has even put in text in there as well. So it's subtitled. And then all you need to do is swap in and out some of the video footage. You might go, oh, that wasn't such a good choice. And you've got access to the stock library of over 3 million images and video, and you just drag and drop more appropriate ones in. Is that all there is to it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So not only do you not have to have your voice on camera if you don't want, you don't have to be on camera either. And you don't have to wait for Fiverr artists to create a video for you if you don't want to. You don't need to wait to get a professional voiceover done or spend a bunch of money on graphics or something like that. I mean, it's really packaged in the most simplistic and also the most effective way. So I would have never guessed that the AI voices would outperform a real voice, but they sound so good if you set them up the right way that they perform even better in the tests that I've done. So I tried to see if I could beat the AI voices, and I haven't been able to yet.
It's pretty crazy. Actually, I'm going to do a little demo for people. If you just give me a moment, hang tight. I'm just going to load up on my computer our AI voice software. People won't be able to see it, but I'll put my microphone near my. It won't be as good because you're not listening to it through my computer. You're going to listen to this guy through my microphone off my computer. But I just want to get it to say a few things just so people can picture what it could sound like. Sorry about my laptop fan when I bring this microphone up close, but I think now that you're saying it, I do find it quite exciting, and I don't know if everybody gets just how exciting this stuff is. So I thought, oh, it could be a good idea to actually just showcase this so people actually can see it for themselves. Just a second, I clicked the wrong link there. Just got to load up a browser in the background. All right, there we go. And then I'll log in. Just a moment. Sorry, I should have grabbed my login details first. I just got to double check I typed the wrong password. I've got to figure out what that is now. I'm just looking back through my stuff. I normally keep everything in my, oh, there we go. Missed a capital letter. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to type something in. All right, that'll do. And then I will click speech.
Hi, Ryan. What do you think of this voice? Does it sound realistic enough? Even if it's not perfect, it's more than good enough. Hi, Ryan. What do you think of this voice? Does it sound realistic enough? Even if it's not perfect, it's more than good enough.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I wouldn't guess. I wouldn't assume that that's an AI voice if I heard it.
Right. And that's just one accent of many, one voice of many. And again, I didn't even do anything to fix the intonation or anything. You could put a comma here or a full stop there to get it to pause at the right points better if you felt like it, but you probably wouldn't have even noticed. You probably just feel like that just sounded pretty good, you know, especially when it's a short ad. These ads are only 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds tops. They're not like someone listening to it for half an hour. So people aren't actually having that longer length of time to pull it apart. And do they care if it's a robot anyway, if it sounds good enough? It's more about it comes down to, it's more about the copywriting, and it's more about speed. I think that's one of the important things. Until now, the average YouTube advertiser, in fact, we're probably the only ones doing this anyway, with all this AI stuff, robot voices, the average YouTuber actually finds it a real pain in the neck to make their ads. They might get a film crew together or go film it custom, and it's a pain to make an adjustment. Whereas with this, it's like, wow, my voiceover is right here. I just type different text in. My videos, no one has to be on screen. I just put stock footage in. It's already there. No wonder you're making your ads in less than half an hour. It's
absolutely. And if you already have a video that you've made and you want to just make some little tweak to it, like maybe you want to change the first 5 seconds or 10 seconds to catch a different attention grabber, it's seconds to make those changes. It's not 30 minutes to make another new video. You can have another video in a minute.
No, I think that's that is pretty awesome. Okay, so anyway, it's pretty inspiring what you've managed to achieve in such a short space of time. Obviously, you sound like you're pretty confident about the method going forwards too, which is fantastic. And there's a lot of offers to promote. fact, several hundred, which that are high converting across multiple networks. So saturation is just about impossible for at least for the next couple of years, if not longer. Have you got any other last pieces of advice to give to anyone? Like if someone was considering maybe joining the free workshop that Keegan's going to be running, or perhaps someone's just considering joining the program itself. Anything else you want to say about it?
Sure. So I think this is a very new and innovative strategy, but it's based on proven techniques that have worked on other platforms in the past. So, for me, I kind of watched the Facebook boat set sail without me to a certain degree. There was a lot of folks that made really great money and really great incomes on that, and I wasn't as active when it came to Facebook ads. And so now that
it's just not new anymore.
It's exactly. But now that this, a similar opportunity of, people talk about the good old days of Facebook. Well, to me, the good old days of YouTube is right now. And I feel like it has a ton of longevity because we're tapping it right at the very beginning of this opportunity. And so, for anybody who hasn't seen this strategy yet, I would highly encourage you to check it out. And if you want to, get in at the, if you've been around and even just watching internet marketing for long enough, you've probably heard people talk about, the good old days of Google or the good old days of Facebook. Well, this is the time to strike when it comes to YouTube. And I think, the choices are, could I figure this out on my own? Maybe from piecing it all together, or is it worth a small investment in myself to have someone just package it up and hand me a roadmap and hand me a blueprint of exactly how to do it all without me having to figure it out for myself?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I really, really appreciate your time. You've been absolutely fantastic and super inspiring. And I hope that everyone else out there listening to this is inspired to, at the very least, check out the free workshop that Keegan's running. There's going to be a lot of tips and tricks and examples shown there. And if you're considering joining, I think that you better make sure you get in before the doors closed. It is a limited group. It's a really absolutely fantastic system and a lot of done for you components, with the script writing software that helps write it for you, the AI voices, the templates for the landing pages and your websites and suggestions on offers to promote. And there's a whole lot to this that just makes this such a really good opportunity. So I highly recommend that also. So anyway, thanks, Ryan, so much for being here. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. And for everyone listening, take action. See you next time. Bye for now.